Speaking of gold, and oil is gold in this country.
Black gold, Texas tea.
But we get 53% of the oil we consume from the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. Meaning that 47% is from foreign oil. And I think we get, and Rig Zekelberry's here the CEO from OriginOil, and I was talking to him this morning. We have enough oil within our borders to where we would never have to go to anywhere else, right?
Oh, it's amazing. In fact, I'll be showing you a graph a little bit later, an infographic that shows just how much there is. Of course, it's got to be explored with this technique called fracking, which is
controversial. But and let's, before we get into that, because we have so many new affiliates with our new TV association with U2 Interactive. I mean, we're I think in 30 cities we weren't in a couple weeks ago. Tell the story about OriginOil. Stock symbol OOIL. OriginOil.com is a website. Breakthrough water technology with electro water separation. What's the elevator pitch on OriginOil?
Well, in brief, what we have is a technology that takes organic contaminants out of huge amounts of water.
Okay.
All right. Now, we actually pioneered that with a beneficial contaminant called algae, which can be turned into a fuel or chemicals and so forth. And that remains something we do. But a couple years ago, we ran head-on into this amazing opportunity to clean the oil out of water and the chemicals and some of the heavy metals. And sure enough, our technology proved to be perfect for this whole fracking boom.
Lucky freaking you.
Well, and we're gonna, when we come back from the break, I want to talk about the fact that you said something very important this morning when we were talking, and that's it's not just a function of extracting oil within our borders, which again means less dependence on foreign oil, which is
dangerous.
Plus it dovetails on a lot of stuff about our economy. But there's also the way you guys extract, the way the oil industry extracts leaves gray water. You guys have solved that problem.
Well, yes, and the ability to recycle that water means each frac job takes 1,000 truck trips through communities, et cetera. We can almost reduce that to
nothing. We're
going to
talk about that in just a second, because there is no political argument against fracking because of OriginOil. How about that? Somebody write that down. Big Biz Show, bigbizshow.com. Rig Zekelberry in studio. OriginOil.com is their website. OOIL is their stock symbol. More Big Biz coming up. Radio. Rig Zekelberry's in studio, of course, CEO of OriginOil. This whole fracking story is, it's amazing, because I start thinking it in terms of the fact that we are not energy independent, and we could be. And this summer of frack could solve that problem if we could get beyond the political implications of fracking having an environmental impact. Enter OriginOil.
Exactly. And let's step back a bit, because to speak to your point about the reserves,
right?
There's an infographic that I published on my site.
Yeah, let's look at that.
And, there it is. Now, the little blue triangle is what's been produced in the last 150 years.
Okay, so for our radio audience, what you're seeing here is what amounts to look like a big pyramid. Okay, it's a triangle, and let's say within the triangle, on the upper third of the triangle, is a green box, and then within the green box, it's a smaller green triangle. Yeah. Within the green triangle is a very tiny, tiny blue triangle, which represents, I'm going to say, I don't know, a 20th or a 10th of the entire. Oh my God!
I'd say about 239 billion barrels.
So 230. So oil produced in the past 150 years from shale is 239.
No, from all oil.
All oil everywhere.
239 billion barrels.
Yes.
Okay.
Now all the oil in the world totals 682, which is less than $1 trillion.
Okay.
All the oil in U.S. shale alone,
just U.S. shale,
is $7 trillion.
So we have 7 trillion barrels of oil stuffed into shale within our borders, versus all of the oil produced in the last 150 years is only 239.
Now, of that, about 5% is recoverable, which gives you more oil than the U.S. produced in the history of the oil industry, and all the oil reserves we have today, all combined.
Yeah.
So shale's
it's ridiculous.
We need to be
there's and the other thing people need to know is that with fracking goes horizontal drilling. And horizontal drilling means that one pad can drill 1,000 wells. Right. And so it's multiplied.
Sure.
Literally, we've been drilling millions of wells in this country. So a frack well, shale well, properly speaking, a tight shale well, runs out very quickly. But guess what? That's just one little tentacle of the octopus. And so you're going to have this enormous amount of drilling. With that comes a huge amount of water use.
And therein lies the problem, if there is a problem. So the good news is you can be politically agnostic. You don't need to be on either side of this thing, because because you can talk with respect to making this, making us less energy dependent on foreign countries. But at the same time, there's an environmental benefit to what you guys are doing.
Well, of course. Our business is, we were founded as a green company. We have a substantial green business
Yes.
that develops, cleans up aquaculture and algae and so forth. And in a way, what we're doing in oil and gas pays for that. But more importantly, we have a responsibility if the country is going to do this. We've had two major events now. A couple weeks ago, the EPA mandated much cleaner requirements for coal plants.
Cut back on
which
coal.
many of the 650 coal plants in this country are going to be shut down. The only thing that can take up the slack is the fracking. Number two, guess what? Iraq. And we have a chart of what's that's done to the price of crude.
So
check that out.
So this is a chart entitled Mega-Fracking, and it looks like a point and figure chart you might see for stocks that we picked. And what it shows, Riggs, what does the point and figure chart show? This
Well, this
January
is West
14th
Texas Intermediate crude oil blend.
Okay.
And it's interestingly enough, it's been going up since the beginning of the year, but it has spiked recently because Iraq was supposed to come online as the second largest reserves holder in the world.
Okay.
Doesn't think that right now there's a battle going on today over the second largest refinery in the country. They got a big problem.
Okay, so what's the answer?
Well, the answer is obviously that it's going to what they're calling mega-fracking, fracking overload, boom squared. All these ridiculous terms are being used. In the middle of it all, we have a lot of people very concerned, municipalities, about there's 1,000 truck trips per frack job to bring in the water.
A lot of potholes.
Exactly, goddamn potholes. And on top of that, there's issues that methane and so forth. I don't want to get into them because that'd be a whole other show. Yeah. But the fact is that fracking, if we're going to do it, must be done sustainably, or else there'll just be wholesale opposition. And we got communities banning it. City of LA banned it.
But if you do it responsibly, though, there's no push. There won't be any pushback once they understand this. Correct?
Look, I'm not here to judge whether fracking is good or not.
Yeah, there you go.
But it is happening.
Okay? Yes.
All right. It's happening with a vengeance because of Iraq, because of the need to cut down coal. So what do? We got to clean up the water. That's our job. What's great is that we're showing incredible success with it. We had a big showcase in Delta. And here's what's very, very cool. We proved that the way we clean up the water is so good that those membranes that they use to get the last little bits don't clog up.
So, that's the thing. That's the thing I'm reading. I'm reading the pros and cons thing here about fracking, and that's the biggest con in the industry is about the. And what did you just say? It was the.
Well, they have these membranes that get the oil out,
right?
And the last little bits. But if you allow oil to get in the membranes, guess what? You're replacing a membrane too often, and the costs go skyrocketing. What we proved in Delta, Colorado, and we announced that a few days ago, was how we actually made membranes work for the first time in the oil industry, and this is huge.
Yeah.
So
otherwise they're breaking them.
Well, so at the end, how do we get? I don't want to say consumer adoptability, but how do we get better adoptability of the technology of fracking? Is it with your technology? Because it's a no-brainer at that point. It's the net zero effect of fracking, and that's I think what environmentalists are looking for.
That's absolutely right. Right now, you might say it's an old tech term, but the whole industry right now is in the tornado.
Okay.
The frack water treatment business is gangbusters. So what are we doing about it? We have a two-part solution. As you know, we license our technology so that people can have it right now and integrate it, and it's sort of the Android philosophy. It doesn't have to be on Apple hardware. Go for it.
Exactly. Mates up with anything.
Bingo. The second part is, because there's immediate demand and licensees take a while to spin up, is we've created a product line called clean-frac. And clean-frac is a complete solution. Let's say you, Rusty, have a particular quality need that you want to get the water to a certain purity, maybe to irrigate your backfield.
Absolutely.
Thank you. We will sell you a system that not only cleans the first part, which is our technology, but includes the last parts that you need, all in one.
So maybe you've gone to other companies that have purchased from you for the back end of their machine, and you're just buying their machine to kind of sell you the whole package deal.
Exactly.
Love that idea.
All right.
The more I read about
Clean-frac
this,
is going out to the market
Why
now.
am I working here?
Well, that's
I should be in charge because cleaning frack water is my.
The bottom line here is this: is the more I read about this, this is just what you've done is disruptive, as far as the age-old argument against fracking. And that needs to be the message coming out. It's,
Taking the weapon out of the opponent's hand.
well,
so
it's
to
true,
speak.
but I mean, at the
not
same
ruining
time,
the water.
it's not a bad. But the net result is our energy independence. If we can continue this, right?
Well, yeah, and here's the amazing part. It's a win-win because the oil and gas operators spend less on water because they can recycle, right? So they save.
Yeah, so there's
And
a million business model reasons.
here's the
for
other
it.
thing. We were talking to Bloomberg earlier this week, and they said, oh, by the way, we hear that many wells generate more water than they use. When that water comes out, farmers can use it.
Right.
Solution to the California
Wow,
drought
yeah,
problem.
Yeah.
There's another one.
Yes, if
What, you want 3?
Well, less wear and tear on the roads. I love that one. The trucks aren't coming in and
well,
out.
yeah, the less pollution, the less gas. I mean,
Oh,
there's all
gee.
kinds.
There is a list.
That's going to be the message, Riggs. It is the
sir.
summer of frack, and all we have to have is Barack Obama to get
Oh,
behind it.
no.
Thank you.
Put down the frack pipe. It is my duty to clean your frack hole. Water.
Wait a minute.
Look at this.
Easy.
Can I get that back?
Riggs Eckelberry,
Rewind
CEO of Origin Oil, originoil.com, OOIL, their stock symbol. Riggs, we'll see you next week in studio. Thank you, sir. Appreciate
Thank you,
that.
sir.
Keep it clean.